and later the presence would spill over into conscious layers of your mind, and even during the day you would start feeling the presence and you don't feel anything other than the presence. That is how the hierarchy of Lord Maitreya, Maurya or Maru Maharshi, Devapi Maharshi and Jwalakula Maharshi and a host of others have walked into the presence of the Lord, and they don't feel, oh, it is already 5,000 years we are working for the Lord. Because when we are in the presence, there is no time, there is no count of time, there is no tiresomeness, there is no expectation, there is no disappointment. Because we, the humanity, continuously disappoint them. But they don't get disappointed in spite of us, because they stand in that presence. They have to be in one, they have to be. They should be in beingness, in one place or the other in this universe. And everywhere there is the Lord. So where is the problem? Let us be here in the presence of the Lord and keep doing what the Lord wills. This is how they stay put in the presence. That is how Bhagavata is experienced by the great beings, and that is what is the ultimate of the teachings, and that is what is the ultimate of the teaching received by Master Jwalkul through Master Maurya, Kuthumi and Maitreya. He walked into the presence of Lord Krishna through the help of these three great beings, that is Maitreya Maharshi, Maru Maharshi and Devapi Maharshi. And Jwalakula, who is known as Jwalkul today, very wrongly spelt in English because people do not know the Sanskrit terms. Jwalakula means a garland of flames. So Jwalakul has transformed, Giri Sharma got transformed into a garland of flames, a bunch of flames. And he received the presence of Lord on the full moon of Sagittarius by virtue of just propagating Bhagavata and Mahabharata. His job was to ensure that Mahabharata and Bhagavata copies are made and distributed all over the holy land of India, so that the vibrations of these scriptures are established in the holy land, and in spite of the advent of Kali age, this land would remain unaffected. That was the task given to him. So fulfilling this task of getting the copies distributed all over the holy land in accordance with the directions received by his master Maru Maharshi, he gained the favor of Lord Maitreya, and he was taken into the presence of the Lord Sri Krishna on the full moon hours of Sagittarius. First time when the Lord looked into the eyes of Jwalkul, he was dumbstruck, stunned, and he felt himself non-existing. That's the first impact. That is the impact of the first look. Second time when the Lord looked into the eyes of the Master, it was like a flashing forth of cosmic light. And Jwalkul had to close his eyes, and he found the whole grand vision of the universe. with all the detail of the solar systems, the planets, the devas of cosmic, solar and planetary plane, and the whole activity has just appeared, and his eyes closed. Then there was the third look by the smiling Lord at Jwalkul. Then the whole being was filled with the presence of the Lord. That's how Master Jwalkul receives his third initiation and gets himself recruited eternally into the hierarchy of Bhagavatas. He is the junior most among those giantly figures of Bhagavata Murtis. And he knows that, he remains like that, and he continues to work with the same inspiration as the great beings. And he has been doing patiently the work of synthesis in varieties of ways. What we know is a pittance. That he worked through Blavatsky, that he worked through Bailey, that he worked through Master E.K. are only the few events that we know. He is the grandest intelligence today on the planet. He is enough. He replaced Lord Maitreya, Lord Maurya and Kuthumi of their work and allowed them to carry out higher purposes for the benefit of the planet and humanity. And he is the one who is now initiating the humanity at large through Gemini full moon. So he has become 3 in 1 and 1 in 3 and stands as the one initiator of the humanity on the globe. And that is because he accomplished this initiation of the path of Bhagavata. There is nothing that doesn't, as knowledge that doesn't flow through him. He is as much mystical as he is intuitional, as much intuitional as he is intellectual. To the West, his teachings are presentation of grandest intellect. To the East, his teachings are presentation of the grandest intuition. He works with all the 7 rays of wisdom. He stands in synthesis and guides the groups of spiritual beings all over the planet. All the spiritual activity that is conducted on the planet by the humanity are directly under the supervision of Master Jwalkul and remotely under the supervision of Lord Maitreya. He is the master of the 5 elements. He can transform anything into anything. The 5 elements are of magic. So he can transform the elements at will. And his presence can also be felt like the presence of Lord Krishna through flute music. In meditation, if you listen flute music, followed by the chirping of a bird, it means it is Master Jwalkul approaching you. This is how he approaches a sincere being and initiates him into the path of world service. So, from Lord Narayana with a host of Bhagavat Murtis, the world disciples, we now stand at the feet of Master Jwalkul. So this is how the scheme of Bhagavata is, and there is a big army of Bhagavata Murtis that are trying to help the beings to walk into the path of presence with utmost simplicity, without too much of ideation, too much of intellectualization, too much of conceptualization, too much of theory, too much of doctrine, indoctrinations, religions, isms, cults, all can be put aside. If we can start straight away interacting with the Lord on a daily basis. As you wake up, you are only interacting with the Lord, that's all. Be it your wife, be it your children, be it the servant maid, be it your chauffeur, the driver of your car, be it a stranger on the road, be it a dog, be it an elephant. So it's only the Lord in variety of forms. It is only the Lord in variety of patterns of behavior. And it is only the one Lord does all this. If you remember this and conduct yourself, and if you take the situations that are coming to you in your life, also as Vasudeva, that's how they have taken it. If you receive pleasant events, you are engaged in the pleasantness of events and you don't feel the presence. Isn't it? If you are given sorrowful events, you see the sorrowful quality of it but don't feel the presence. So in joyful events we see the joy but not the Lord. In sorrowful events we see the sorrow but not the Lord. But what the Lord tells you is, be it sorrow or joy, see me, then there is neither sorrow nor joy but only me. It is simple and therefore is difficult. The truth is simple. Yes. Because it is simple, it is difficult. Isn't it? Because our minds are complicated. The complication is in the mind. If you simplify it, you can straight away interact with the Lord and then walk into the presence of the Lord. Then anything can flow through you as wisdom. And Master CVV also speaks of the same presence. He says, be in my presence, everything will come to you. Everything will come to you from inside. I have been telling this to you yesterday evening and then this morning. If you wish life, life comes to you. If you wish wisdom, it will come to you. If you wish to know homeopathy, it will come through you. If you wish to know astrology, it will come through you. You wish to know anything, it will come from within, because what is important is you stay put in presence, that's all. Everything will come to you as per time and as per need, and don't wish to look for things, wish to look for me. So that's the path of Bhagavata. That is the ultimate of the path. Blessed is the one who is simple enough to walk into it. That's why the saying goes, it is simple. It is, if you are simple, you are happy. But it is difficult to be simple. Our problem is to gain that simplicity. We unnecessarily enlarge our head with too many concepts, and in those concepts we forget the presence of the Lord. So when the Lord is absent, you have only the head load of concepts. But if the Lord is present, then the concepts are there when you wish. Not exactly when you wish, when they are needed, they are present. And you are always in the presence of the Lord. That's how the work of Bhagavata is found to be the simplest way, the direct way, the shortest route to the Lord. And even Jesus Christ lived in that simplicity, and he is an outstanding example of the principle of presence. He always remained in the presence of the Lord. He moved in the Lord, he spoke staying in the Lord, he did teaching staying in the Lord, he did healing, staying in the Lord. There was not a single act he conducted by himself. It is in total surrender. He accomplished a global awareness. The Father himself worked through the Son. That's the path of Bhagavata. That's why he stands foremost in the hearts of the hierarchy of Bhagavata group. In the hierarchy of Bhagavata, Jesus the Christ is admired as a gem. There is no equal to him in recent times. There is no equal to him in recent times. Even when he is being crucified, he did not walk out of the presence of the Lord. What is our suffering? Our suffering is more made out of us. But if you are in the presence of the Lord, the suffering becomes small. Can you imagine crucifixion? The story of that grand master Jesus Christ should be deeply studied and comprehended. In Kali Yuga, Jesus the Christ stands as the most outstanding example of the principle of Bhagavata. If the beings all over the planet are attracted to Jesus the Christ, it's because the Lord permeated himself through Jesus as the vehicle. And this has become possible for the Lord because Jesus was in such a total submission. Such a total submission we only see in the stories of Bhagavata. And he is the latest one when it comes to Kali Yuga. Master Jwalkul also got initiated during the twilight of Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. And hence, the Christ is seen, he is the best example of the principle of Bhagavata in the Kali age, and he should be respected, he should be worshipped, he should be admired. Daily every one of us have to pay homage to him. Christ is totally different from Christianity. Don't go by the Christianity activities and develop prejudice against Christ. Jesus the Christ needs to be worshipped on par with all the grand masters, the great Maharshis whom you know in the East. Thank you very much. Namaskar. In the path of yoga, we have been concurrently considering the practice of various steps and also the latent cooperation we receive through that great light called Master CVV. As you progress on the path, the Master is better understood. The assistance and the help that comes from the Master is more realized. The preliminary steps are worked out with ease, namely harmlessness, non-manipulative behavior, regulation of sex, absence of thieving instinct, elimination of obligatory karma, which would cause internal purity, and which would concurrently contribute for external purity. When the purity is gained inside and outside, there is the clean mind, which is naturally joyful. Joy is the property of the mind which is clean subjectively and clean as well objectively. If there is not enough joy, if there is not continuity of joy, it means some more purification shall have to happen in relation to the principles indicated just before, that is harmlessness and the company. Such a clean mind is the only mind, verily the only mind, verily, verily, verily the own mind, that is capable of grasping the knowledge as it exists in the scriptures. Until then, study of scriptures was not recommended in the earlier times. If you do so before, you get more confused and you do not make a proper understanding. You would make your own recipe of understanding, which is totally different from what is said in the scripture. Only the clean mind can see and can grasp what is there. The unclean mind has inversions. It sees what it wants to see. It does not see what is there. So whatever we see, whatever we listen, whatever we experience is mainly through the senses, which suffer an inversion. And hence the study of books causes greater hurdles. It is like semi-cooked food which can neither be eaten nor can be cooked again. That is the reason why the seers always wanted that the initial discipline is carried out by the disciple and gains a clean subjective and objective mind, and then read the scriptures in the light of such clean mind, which is symbolically presented as an orange colored star, a brilliant orange colored star. That's where we got into the orange colored book in the morning, and then we went into the activity of Master CVV. To such a person who is joyful, who is clean, who regularly applies himself to the practice of the scriptural instructions. The scriptural instructions are twofold. The scripture has instructional part. The scriptures also have the speculative part. There is the speculative knowledge and there is the knowledge relating to the practice. Speculative knowledge enables you to contemplate upon the grand dimensions of the creation, and that would cause further unfoldment of mind. The barriers of mind are gradually dropped as you progress deeply into the grand concepts that are provided by the scriptures. The scriptures present to you Vishwa Vijnana. It's not just about a man, about the great deeds of a man. It presents to you the planet, it presents to you the solar system with all the related planetary principles. It presents to you a grand vision of the solar system. It presents to you a grander vision of the groups of solar systems. It further presents to you the grandest vision of the cosmic system. And then it presents to you the basic laws of creation, such as laws of alternation, laws of pulsation, laws of periodicity, laws of involution and evolution, and the laws relating to right behavior in all these planes of existence. So as you keep on getting into the speculative side of the knowledge that is provided by scriptures, which is essentially universal, it is mind blasting. That means the mind grows, grows, grows and grows. This is what is called manovikasa. Unless that unfoldment of the mind happens, it is not receptive enough for the grand light that can reflect upon it. That's how the speculative part of wisdom shall have to be studied. If you study the second and third canto of Srimad Bhagavata, even up to sixth or seventh canto, you would have only the universal knowledge, the formation of the creation, the cosmogenesis and the anthropogenesis, how the creation is made, how man is made, what is man. All this knowledge is the speculative knowledge that widens the horizons of your comprehension beyond your imagination, and that wide, open, receptive, clean mind is the only one that is fit to receive light. Now imagine the petty understandings of varieties of cults, varieties of religions, who promote a name, who promote a form, and who promote a tradition. They are all mustard seeds in the grand vision of the knowledge. That's the knowledge one has to gain. That's the knowledge that purifies. Don't think you can be totally purified unless you are engaged with this Vishwa Vijnana Vidya. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. There is nothing equal to jnana in matters of making you pavitra, pure. So that is extra purity. See how you are raising in your spirit, in your awareness, through appropriate understanding of the path and working out every detail without missing the loose ends. Tie up all the loose ends, progress this way, and then you would understand that it is all Ishvara. It is only Ishvara as all this. It is Ishvara as the planetary bodies. It is Ishvara as the planetary beings. it is Ishvara as the planetary rulers. This kind of understanding is needed. Just you think of a man who gave you a little wisdom and then try to promote his name and refuse yourself the knowledge of the universe which he tried to present to you. Did not Master E.K. present all that wisdom to us? How many of us have gone into it? How many have walked into the opening that the Master gave? We are more with the opening, we are more with the door than with the inside the door. Are we wise enough if we stay at the threshold of the open door? Or are we wise if we walk into the grand universal temple which is opened by the Master for us? If you stay with the threshold, with the door, you create a cult. If you walk through that, you follow the Master. This is my firm belief. Respect the threshold, respect the Master, because without him, the temple door is not open to you. But only worshipping the door doesn't help. You have to walk into the temple, get into the grand vision, get absorbed into that universal light, which is described, for want of name, as Sarvantaryami, or as Ishvara, or in English as the Master. The Master means the master of all that is in this universe. So when you realize that it is the one who is existing as all this, one as many, and verily there is only one as many. If you see many, they appear to be many. But if you see the one, it is only the one as all. That is the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So the 3rd canto of Bhagavata to 8th canto of Bhagavata, you have this knowledge of cosmogenesis and anthropogenesis. Similar knowledge is also contained in steps in Bhagavad Gita. Similar knowledge is also contained in Adi Parva of Mahabharata, which is the biggest Parva. And this knowledge is provided in nutshells in Upanishads. Its essential thread is given in Brahma Sutras. And a systematized path of progress into this knowledge and self-realization is given as a science of yoga by Patanjali. The same wisdom is presented in different forms in Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavata, Upanishads, and the Veda. So you need to walk into that knowledge, breaking your horizons, breaking your petty concepts of divinity. According to your pettiness, you make your Lord petty. As I said in the morning, ఎంత మాత్రమున ఎవ్వరు కొలచిన అంత మాత్రమే నీవు. ఇఫ్ యు రియలీ సీ, ఎంచి చూడ మొత్తం బ్రహ్మాండం అంతా నువ్వే అని పాడతాడు కదా. సో యాజ్ మచ్ యాజ్ యూ థింక్ ఈజ్ ది లార్డ్, సో మచ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ టు యూ. దెర్ ఈజ్ యూనివర్సల్ క్రైస్ట్, అండ్ దెర్ ఈజ్ ది క్రైస్ట్, అండ్ దెర్ ఈజ్ జీసస్ యాజ్ క్రైస్ట్. There is the universal light, and then the central light called Savitru, and then the solar light called Sun, and there is light in you. So which light are you looking to? It is one light in different manifestations. This is the knowledge. This is the knowledge which you are expected to get into. By that, your comprehension gets stabilized in the one truth of the one Ishvara, the one Master, who is the universal master. He manifests as many. And hence in surrender to him, when you start living, you have a stable and comfortable mind. Okay. Now that your knowledge of Ishvara is only theoretical, just if you get the speculative knowledge, it only gives you the scope of the subject and the scope of joy which you can experience, provided you follow a path. So the speculative knowledge inspires you. Then there is the instructional part. When you follow the instructional part, to you it is a realization. Any amount of description of a ripe mango fruit is not equal to eating a mango fruit, isn't it? So one is knowledge, which gives you the inspiration to experience Ishvara. The other is to follow the regular steps which are worked out for us by the masters of wisdom who pervade from Parabrahman to your teacher, up to your teacher. From Parabrahman up to your teacher, there is a ladder of hierarchy. At every step, they are there to help us, and we need to work it out consciously, step after step. That's how the whole work is to be done. So once you are so filled with the inspiration relating to the fact of Ishvara, which needs to be realized by you as the truth, you have to apply the mind, which is now very clean, upon your respiration, which provides you the path into you. To search for Ishvara, it is futile to search in the objectivity. You search from your own center. The very center of your being is Ishvara. So where do you search outside? So the seer said, you start searching inside. Go to the very center of your being. Go to the very beingness relating to you. Inquire how you exist as your being. If you know your existence, you would know the existence of the cosmos. That's how the path is given. That is where you have to get internalized. So this internalization is the fourth step of yoga, where you would start running into the current of life. The current of life flows into you right from Sahasrara up to the heart center as the humming sound and manifests as pulsation, expresses itself as respiration. So you have to trace back. Holding to the thread of life, you try to travel in the reverse direction and meet the center which exists behind the center, which exists behind the center. So center after center, you will have to go through to experience yourself as the emanation of Ishvara. That is why prana requires to be regulated in 3 different stages. It's not that you just do breathing rhythmically for a while and say that you have done pranayama. Pranayama means prana regulated. If prana is regulated, you do not respire. There is no inhalation and there is no exhalation. That is the first stage of pranayama. When you do not inhale and do not exhale, you still live as the pulsating principle. Within your outer being. So you go through the first threshold. See, to get into the Garbhalaya, the sanctum sanctorum, you have to cross threshold after threshold. The first threshold is from objectivity to subjectivity of the mind. The second threshold is the subjective mind contemplating upon the respiration. Then, when the mind is absorbed into respiration, both the mind and respiration neutralize each other. I'll come to the detail of the process slowly, but I am giving you the scope, because by tomorrow we have to conclude. So when the subjective mind and the respiration neutralize each other, you land in pulsating principle. By that you have crossed another threshold. The pulsating principle itself is a centripetal and centrifugal functioning. It opens and closes, opens and closes, opens and closes. It keeps making a twin sound, which is given as the Dvayakshari mantra. So hum, hum, so, hum, so, hum, so, hum, so, hum, so, hum. Hum so becomes so hum. So this centripetal and centrifugal functioning is happening in you, and that is not essentially the physical heart. Because that principle is functioning, the heart is functioning. If that principle stops, the heart stops. But that principle itself has a double action. Before that, in its externalized form, it exists as the double action of inhalation and exhalation. Before that, it exists in the dual form of respiratory activity and mental activity. Before that, you don't even remember about your respiratory activity. You only have subjective mind and objective mind. And before that, you are bifurcated into 5. So from 5, you collect yourself into the mind. The mind becomes subjective mind. The subjective mind applies upon respiration. The respiration mind neutralize each other. You land up in pulsation. Pulsation is also a twin activity, a double activity, where there is one opposing the other. Inhalation and exhalation also, they work in opposite directions. They are seeming opposites, but they are complementary. Subjective mind, objective mind are also seeming opposites, but they are complementary. At every time, when two seeming opposites are encountered by you, you take to the source of it, then the oppositions drop. That's the law. So at every stage there is this bifurcation for manifestation, vivification. And then now you are working out into unity. So the pulsating principle is also conducted by something behind that principle. So what is it that is causing this folding and unfolding activity eternally in you? That is where you are engaged. When you are deeply engaged with it, slowly you would proceed through that. Then you would not have pulsating activity apparently working in you. Then you cannot feel the pulse of such a being. That is what Lahiri demonstrates to his grandson. That is what every advanced yogi demonstrates. Shirdi Sai Baba also demonstrated. Master CVV demonstrated 18 times to his disciples. For all practical medical purposes, he is considered dead, but he is not. So he is now into deeper part of the temple where he remains as subtle pulsation. There you find yourself as subtly pulsating double principle like a bird. This bird moves up and up until it reaches a place where it transforms into a unisyllable sound. To see the basis of nada, because that is the essential, primary, fundamental, first envelope of that which cannot be defined. Nada tanumanisham shankaram. So that's how, even when you are through Om, the sound that is happening in you, you realize that verily you are Ishvara in manifestation through so many layers. As you went out of the temple, you gain different identity. As you go into the temple and identify with the image which is in the sanctum sanctorum, you realize Aham Brahmasmi. This is the course. So for that course, first you have to work with respiration. And the pulsating principle in you functions in fivefold manner. Just like fivefold sensations are there and senses are there. Now you encounter the 5 life principles in you. These 5 life principles have to be worshipped to start with. That is where Hanuman becomes very important. In the Madhva tradition, the great seer Madhvacharya, he could find the functioning of Mukhya Prana. Mukhya Prana is Jagat Guru to them, which is true. There is only one life force which functions in 5 different ways. And you have to see the 5 different ways of its functioning. And the 5 are nothing but 3. And 3 are nothing but 1. 1 manifests as 3, 3 details into 5. Just like the one soul becomes triple through the 3 gunas, 3 qualities, and again bifurcates into 5 senses. That is how man is bound by Ashta Prakritis, 3 qualities and 5 senses. So he is broken into pieces, into 8 pieces. He is the 9th one. That's why people want number 9 for their cars. Number 9 need not be for the number plate of your car. You should be number 9. It is considered lucky because it represents Mula Prakriti. Mula Prakriti means the God in creation. Beyond that is 10. 1 and 0 means the Lord and the creation. So the 1 has become into 8 pieces and is thrown helter-skelter through Ashta Prakritis, and hence we have Ashta Kastas, Ashta Daridryas, and their counterpart is Ashtalakshmis and Astasiddhis. See, if you correlate, you get wonderful solutions. There are Astasiddhis and Ashtakastas. And there are Ashtalakshmis and Ashtadarindras. If you fall, it is one way. If you stand erect, it is the other way. And you are the ninth one. So now that you have cleared the sense activity, what does yoga say initially? Suspension of the sense activities, isn't it? Yoga chitta vritti nirodhakaha. What is chitta vritti? The mind is always engaged in the sense activity. That is now suspended. Now yoga is pranayamaha. Meaning, now you are regulating prana. Before you regulated the senses and the conglomerate of the senses, which is mind. Now you take to the next step of regulating the 5 pranas. How do you regulate? First you should know how these 5 pranas work in you. That's where we have to worship these pranas. That is where Hanuman becomes important. That's why Hanuman is taken as Jagat Guru in the Madhva system. Invariably, to them the Lord is Krishna and the Guru is Hanuman. Hanuman is the son of Vayu, isn't? Vayu is the Lord through whom the life principle permeates. Vayu is the vehicle. The air is the vehicle for prana to permeate. And Hanuman is the son of Vayu, the son of Ishvara, isn't it? He has emanated from the cosmic center and expressed himself through Vayu. That's why he is Shankaranandana and also Vayunandana. And also Anjani Nandana. So this Hanuman is worshipped by those who know how to gain the cooperation of the pulsating pranas. In Bhagavata, in Puranjana Upakhyanā, these 5 pulsations are described as a snake of 5 hoods. It's one snake of 5 hoods. Once the soul enters into it, it's gone. It cannot come out of it. Now you have to wriggle out of the 5-hooded serpent called prana principle. That is pranayama. Unless you regulate this snake of 5 hoods, you cannot escape from the pranic principle step by step. So the 5 pulsating principles are to be worshipped. They are prana, apana, samana, udana and vyana. That's why whenever we offer Naivedya, we speak of these 5 pulsating principles. But they have their presiding deities also. It is them whom we worship every time when we say Shamno Mitrasham Varunaha. Prana is Mitra. Apana is Varuna. Samana is Aryama. Udana is Indra Bruhaspati. Vyana is Vishnu. This is how you have to. And we regularly worship in the morning and evening unconsciously the deities relating to the 5 pulsating principles. What do we say? Let prana be at poise. That is Shamno Mitraha. Let apana be at poise. Sham Varunaha. Let samana be at poise. Shanno bhavat aryama. Isn't it? Then we say, let Udana be at poise. Shamna Indro Bruhaspati. Then let Vyana be at poise. Shanno Vishnu Rurukramaha. And who are all these five put together? That is Vayu. So next comes the hymn. Namaste Vayu. Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. You have to catch up to the air, which is the chief principle of all the five pulsations. The vehicle of these five pulsations is Vayu. So the Vayu exists inside, Vayu exists outside. So you are worshipping Vayu, that's where Hanuman comes. That's where Garuda comes. Yes. In the Vishnu system, they worship Garuda. Vaishnavites, Garuda Alvar. And Madhvas, Hanuman. Shaivites, Nandishvara. Every system has its own symbolism, terminology, but the principle is the same. That's the vehicle. You are the direct Brahma to me. That is what we are saying to Vayu. Because only through you I can reach Brahman, the Absolute. So we say, Sameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi. You are the direct perception of Brahman. Pratyaksham. Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami. I declare. Of course, even if you declare or you don't declare, it makes no difference to Vayu. నేను ఇవాళ నుంచి ప్రేయర్ చేస్తున్నాను మాస్టర్ గారు అంటే, మాస్టర్ అనేవారు సివివి గారు బతికిపోయారు రా అని. అట్లా సో యూ డిక్లేర్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ దట్ యు ఆర్ వెరీలీ ది డైరెక్ట్ పర్సెప్షన్ ఆఫ్ బ్రహ్మ. సో దట్ ఈస్ ది హిమ్ వి చాంట్. త్వమేవ ప్రత్యక్షం బ్రహ్మాసి త్వామేవ ప్రత్యక్షం బ్రహ్మ వదిష్యామి, రితం వదిష్యామి, ట్రూలీ సే సో, సత్యం వదిష్యామి, వెరీలీ ఇట్ ఈస్ ది ట్రూత్. లెట్ ద ట్రూత్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ మై టీచర్, లెట్ ద ట్రూత్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ మీ, లెట్ ద ట్రూత్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ మీ, అండ్ లెట్ ద ట్రూత్ ప్రొటెక్ట్ మై టీచర్. Because if your teacher is safe, you are safe. If your teacher is not safe, he doesn't lead you. That's the problem. So it's a teacher-student invocation. The master may have departed from the physical, but he should be safe enough to guide us. Otherwise, whose feet again you will catch? Don't think the disappearance from the physical is total disappearance. Wherever is the teacher, in appearance or in disappearance, let him be protected so that he will protect me. Let him be protected so that he will protect me. Twice. Emphasis. That's where I say you must go deeper into all these things that we utter forth like parrots. So these are the five pulsations and the five deities relating to pulsation, and we have to neutralize the initial two. The initial two are inhalation and exhalation. Prana and Apana, Mitra and Varuna, Vasistha and Agastya, Neptune and Uranus. See, once you get the blessing of the master, you can just correlate all the related thing as if mercury permeating. If your thermometer is broken, mercury permeates all over. No? So if your crystallized mind is broken by the master, then it goes anywhere and everywhere and links up everything and sees the whole network. Until that time, everything is different. Mitra, Varuna are different. Prana, Apana are different. Inhalation and exhalation are totally different. So we don't link up to anything. Prana should be consciously taken in. That is, inhalation shall have to be consciously taken in. How does it happen? Observe. It starts entering into your nostrils, goes up to the bridge of the nose, that is Nasikagra. Nasikagra is not the tip of the nose. There was a lot of discussion by scholars. When Lord Krishna spoke about Nasikagra, which is the agra, the peak of the nose cannot be here. The nose is formed from the brow up to its tip. But then some argue that this is agra because this is more projecting. Projections are not mounts. It is just a projection. So Nasika agra. So through the nostrils, prana, mitra enters and pleasantly touches the brow center, which is different from Ajna center, and then moves downwards up to a point above the diaphragm. So that is its path. This is the anterior part of Garuda. We have to visualize your nose as the beak of Garuda, the eagle. So you breathe in consciously. Each time you breathe in, you have to breathe in consciously, just touching in a very subtle way the brow center and go inside. Breathe as much as you can, so that you breathe in lot of oxygen, which strengthens your life principle, your vitality. The more you breathe in, the more you are vitalized. And breathing in keeps happening up to a point above your diaphragm. There is a point beyond which you cannot breathe in, because Varuna says enough. If you only breathe in all the time, the balloon will blast. So there is an internal security system. You can't breathe beyond a point. Beyond that, Varuna says, enough, my boy. And you start breathing out. When you breathe out right from Mooladhara. Because Apana Vayu occupies the whole body below the diaphragm, up to the feet, up to the tip of your thumb, foot thumb. The thumbs of the hand are regulated by Mitra, Pranavayu. And the tip of the thumb of the feet is regulated by Apana Vayu. So Apana functions right from the lowest part of the body up to the diaphragm. The highest point up to which it can go is a plexus near the throat. The lowest point up to which prana can go is a point just below the diaphragm. It is in Virgo. That's why the grip to breathe in exists below the diaphragm. As much as you can strengthen that grip, so much you can breathe in. And Apana Vayu works out in the opposite direction. When Apana Vayu does not function well, you have all the diseases below the diaphragm. The diseases below diaphragm are all attributed to Apana Vayu in Ayurveda. And unless Apana Vayu is well conducted, it disturbs its counterpart also, Prana Vayu. When there are two opposing principles, if one is weak, the other also gets weakened. If you make a tent, the shamiana you make it now, if one side it is loose, the tension is lost. So the other side also it is loosened. So prana can affect apana, apana can affect prana, vice versa. And hence you have to breathe out as much as you can. This is not already pranayama. This is all pre-pranayama practice. That you breathe out as much carbon as you can. You breathe in as much oxygen as you can. And then the breathing in and breathing out, let it be equated. Their meeting point is in between the point below the diaphragm and above the diaphragm. A point below and a point above. That's the bridge. So if you equate the two functions of respiration, they are the two wings of the bird. They have to be equally functioning well. What happens to a bird that flies? It starts using both the wings equally well. If one wing is malfunctioning, the bird cannot take off. Likewise, the two seemingly opposing currents of inhalation and exhalation, prana and apana, mitra and varna, they have to be equated. That's why one sits in the north, another sits in the south. Vasishtha is in the north, Agastya is in the south. Agastya does not cross the border. If he crosses the border above the equator, then the lower system is paralyzed, and the paralysis will be equally for the higher part of the body also. The lower is lower to the higher. If there is no lower, there is no higher also. If there is no South Pole, there is no North Pole. The South Pole is to the North Pole. North Pole is by itself not North Pole. Only when a South Pole is formed, it is called North Pole. Otherwise, it is not North Pole. To what it is North? If there is no South, can you call it North Pole? So if I am not there, you are also not there. That is how both of them exist. If we exist, let us exist together. Otherwise, let us not exist together. That is nasatyas. They are not untrue beings, isn't it? Who are they? Mitra and Varna. The Aswins. Isn't it? They are born out of one pot only. Do you know that? Vasishtha and Agastya are born out of the same pot. Both are Kumbha Sambhavas. You must read the stories of Vasishtha and Agastya. You would know many secrets. So Vasishtha is occupying the upper part of the body. Agastya is taking care of lower part of the body. You can't say who is greater. So one is with the great bear, the other is with Sirius. One relates to northern star, the other relates to southern star. So they have to be equated. This equation is, as much as you breathe in, so much you should breathe out. As deep as you breathe in, so deep you should breathe out. As uniformly you breathe in, so uniformly you breathe out. Slow, soft, deep and uniform. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Nothing should be more than the other. One should not be more than the other. They have to be equated, because they are equals. That first gives you an excellent vital body to start with. Diseases dare not enter you. The existing diseases are all expelled. That's why for a true student of breathing, there should be no disease. And there would be good resistance to the body. We know this, but we cannot do this. You know why? Because we don't have the clean mind. Unless the previous step is accomplished, you can't do this. It's not that I am telling you this first time. We may think of doing it, but the mind does not agree. Why? Because it still needs to be trained. It still needs to be cleaned. So mind is, when regularly applied upon respiration, that is inhalation and exhalation, you know what happens? If you make deep, slow, soft and uniform breathing, inhalation and exhalation, after 2 or 3 deep inhalations and exhalations, you don't feel like inhaling for a while. If you don't feel like inhaling, you don't also exhale. Or sometimes, naturally you breathe in and you don't feel like breathing out. Sometimes you breathe out and you don't feel like breathing in. This is how interludes happen. Interludes. This is the word used by Master Jwalko. In that interlude, you experience pulsation. So your experiencing of pulsation commences when the respiration ceases. That's how you have entered into another threshold. That's where you meet Samanavayu, the bridge between the point below the diaphragm, the point above the diaphragm. They are bridged. Then Aryama becomes active. He is Samanavayu. When he is active, the two sides, they become passive. Just like in a scale where you put the weight on one side, vegetables on the other side. When the pans are active, you look at the pans. But the pans are almost non-moving, you look at the needle, which is the balancing principle between the two opposing forces. The two pans are the two seeming opposites, they are complementary. When they are equalized and reach the equilibrium, you have the principle of equilibrium functioning more than the pants. That is what happens with samana vayu. Samana vayu means the equilibrating pulsation. So when you enter into that, you don't respire. That means you have entered into the temple and you are bolted outside. Meaning the objectivity doesn't exist to you then. The trained mind learned to be subjective. The subjective mind contemplated upon respiration, and the two activities of inhalation and exhalation dissolve into the pulsating principle. Your awareness gets deeper. That's how the first step of internalization happens. Then the pulsating principle has a tendency to move upwards. That's the beauty. The samana vayu is called up by udana vayu, which exists around the brow center. That is the may call. Once you reach samana vayu and engage with it, it has a tendency to move up. That is the work of vayu. That is the work of Hanuman. That is the work of the teacher. He would slowly experience the resonance of pulsation moving up and up to the throat center. That's the work of udana and samana. So the first pair is dissolved and you are up into the air. As you reach the throat center, you are up into the ether. That is akasha. When it happens, you don't feel the forms anywhere around. It's all a sea of akasha. And as you start flying into akasha, the aspiration is to fly higher, higher and higher and higher. If you see Ramayana, it says only Hanuman and Garuda can fly in the seventh sky. The akasha which we know is the fifth state of the akasha. There are four inferior states. Fifth state is akasha. Sixth state is the state of the individual being. Seventh state is the state of universal being. From there, it can come down, it can go up, it can come down, it can go up, it can come down, it can go up. That's why they are called the vehicles of the Lord. So you move up and up and up. That's how you start getting into a blue, a kind of blue, and you don't feel the forms. You feel the earth is under your seat. It's a state of meditation where at the throat center, samana and udana, they start working with each other. We shall continue tomorrow because the time is given up to 7:30. It is 7:45. Keep flying till tomorrow and we will see what happens. Because the five pulsations, when they are all neutralized, you have gone very deep into your being. That's how pranayama leads to pratyahara. Pratyahara means absorption into your own center. This pratyahara is where we are now. The prana is being regulated. When the prana is being regulated, you are already moving up. That means you are absorbing yourself into your center. Your center is somewhere here, the third eye. Your third eye. That's where your center is. So the absorption happens until that point. So we are now trying to theoretically know what is pranayama and pratyahara. These are the ascending steps of yoga. So let us contemplate upon prana, apana, mitra, varuna, vasishtha, agastya, and then contemplate further upon aryama. And aryama is now reaching Indra, Bruhaspati. There is the center of Indra over here. The center of Indra, the center of Bruhaspati, the center of Vishnu, Brahma, Shiva, they are all in the forehead. Forehead is very important. Center after center, center after center, there are so many centers. Up to Sikha. So it's a big path over there. So we get into in this manner you try to, you ascend. And at all points your teacher helps you. That's what I said in the morning. Sitting over here, the master pulls you up. So the help of the teacher helps uddharana, upliftment. We should know that, and then according to our present state of mind, we have to start where we have to start. Thank you.